Hi, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us today for the Internship Search webinar. So this is part of the Internship Workshop series for the spring. This is actually our last internship workshop series for the spring quarter. But know that we're still here to support you in your internship search. So my name is Guadalupe Saldivar. I'm the internship specialist with the Career Center. And here with me today supporting this webinar is Hilda Munoz. Hilda, if you want to say hi.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning. I'm going to be helping Lupe facilitate the webinar this morning. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them into the chat. We'll have breaks throughout the presentation to answer your questions. And then I am also putting in the link once again for those of you who logged on here at the end to capture your attendance this morning. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Hilda. And here in the slide, you can see the rest of the internship team within the Career Center. So know that we are here as a resource. We're here to support your internship search. Should you have any questions after this webinar and you're kind of like, okay, this information is great, but I still really don't know like where to start or where to begin, just know that we are here and our sole purpose, right, among others, but our sole purpose is to support you in identifying an internship. All right, so the presentation overview for today, we're going to be focusing on where to find internships. I've tweaked this presentation a little bit given our current circumstance and our situation. So I'll be focusing on how to identify virtual internships, although you can use strategies in finding on-campus or on-site internships. It is pretty difficult right now given employers are also working remotely. So I'll just focus on mostly on how to identify virtual internships for the summer. And then since we're going to be also virtual for the fall. And I'll share also programs and resources and services of how the Career Center can support you in your search. So kind of just diving in, I want to share first a little bit of data just to kind of put into context of why an internship is so important and how it can be really beneficial for you. So Intern Bridge is an organization, and Dr. Robert Schindel, who works for Intern Bridge, they focus on assessing internships and recruitment and kind of helping employers really with their recruitment process in internships. So they have a lot of research around that. And one of the things and one of the studies that they shared with employers was they asked employers what was the most relevant or important attribute when evaluating graduates for hire. So after you graduate, what are employers looking for? And what do they feel like it's deemed as the most important attribute? So kind of in order here, as you can see, internships was rated really high. Next was employment during college, and then kind of going down the scale of what might have been like the least important relative to internships here. So like college reputation, college GPA. So I want you to reflect on why you think that might be, and why do you think employers really value or really take into consideration you having a previous internship experience. So so that's national data, right? I want to share with you some more of like kind of bringing it home, more local data. So this is actually a survey that was done by the Career Readiness Task Force here on campus. And they asked recent alumni what they were doing after they graduated. So it was a survey and they just wanted to know, like, were they working? Were they in grad school? What were our alumni doing? So you can see here, 62% of respondents, we have 844 students who responded or alumni who responded, and 62% mentioned that they were working full time, and 11% were working part time, And then here you can kind of see the other percentages. So to me, you know, as being part of the Career Center and I see this number, it's a very huge gap, right, from what I hear students are looking for, right? So after you graduate, I'm sure many of you are wanting to secure a full-time position. So this percentage to me is actually fairly low. So that is also why I just really want to emphasize the resources and programs that we have to help you and make sure, and I want to make sure that you actually, you know, you accomplish or you achieve your personal or professional goals that you have after you graduate. All right, so I'm going to do a quick Zoom poll. Of why you want to get an internship. So some responses here: to gain hands-on experience in the field, to become better prepared, to learn new skills, to gain a realistic preview of the workplace, to make professional contacts, to explore a new organization, to explore a new industry, and to earn money. All right, so we have a tie between to gain hands-on experience and to become better prepared for employment in my field. So pretty similar response to you all. So Intern Bridge also launched that similar survey, but to students, and they asked them what was their motivation in pursuing an internship. And here you can see the #1 reason was to gain hands-on experience in their field. And then in order, kind of ranked here, so to become better prepared for employment. So you definitely, with an internship, you definitely get those skills and knowledge that you might not otherwise have the opportunity to do. And to learn new skills, to gain a realistic preview of the workplace. So I've had students mention to me that you know, it's one thing to study, like, for example, criminal justice, right, in the classroom, and to read about it, but to actually see it and how it is currently in the workplace, it can be very different, both good and bad, right? But with an internship, if you're exposed to that environment, you're able to really see what it's like. To make professional contacts. So I definitely recommend, when all of you get an internship, to connect with your colleagues, connect with your supervisor, with different people in the organization. And especially if you see or you identify somebody who you feel is like, okay, I would love to have, you know, their job. Connect with them, ask them like how they got there, ask them to learn more about their journey. And it does a couple things, right? So one, it builds rapport. And then another thing, it also gives you additional insight of how to navigate that career path. So I definitely recommend you reaching out to professionals in your organization and connect with them one-on-one. Also, to explore a new organization. So it's also a really great way internships is a really great way to explore maybe a field that you know, thought you might like, you know, and may not necessarily. So I have, for example, I have a student who I was working with, and she was an English major, and she was kind of torn between going into teaching or going into law. So she did an internship on both ends, just to determine what area she might like more. So it's also a really good way to confirm or, you know, disconfirm sometimes your interest. And then the last one, to earn money. Ideally, I would like for all of you to have a paid internship, but I know that may or may not be the case, especially with like nonprofit organizations. So we do have internship awards available for students who secure an unpaid internship with a nonprofit, government, or municipal organization. And it's $1,000 at the end of the internship, and you have to be enrolled in an internship course. So unfortunately, we do not offer any internship awards over the summer, but we do offer them throughout the academic year. So starting in fall, we'll have more funds as well. All right, so kind of going into the internship search, I just want to emphasize that the internship search is a process. So some students can land an internship within a couple weeks from the moment that they start looking, and other students, it can take them, a quarter or more to identify an internship. So I just want you to realize, that it is a process and it can vary from student to student. So just knowing not to get discouraged. All right, so step number one within the process is to have your resume revised. And then this is really important. Something that I wanna really emphasize on this is that it's not so much about the previous experiences that you've had in terms of like job titles, but more so the skills and knowledge that you highlight from those experiences. So I can give you an example. So when I was an undergrad, I wanted to either go into HR, to business, or I wanted to go into teaching and education. So I was a server for a restaurant for 2 years during my undergrad. And when I was doing my resume, I felt like my position as a server had nothing to do with education and it had nothing to do with HR. So I was like, okay, well, I don't even know what, what I'm going to put down here. And I had a really great mentor who told me just that exact same thing, right? It's not so much about the title, it's about what skills and knowledge pieces that you highlight from that experience. So just to give you an example, so for my education resume, I would say I educated customers on menu items, and I informed new hires on the the restaurant policies. So I would use action verbs like educated and informed, communicated, more that would align more within the education field. And for business, so when I was for HR, training is huge in HR, right? And more in the business kind of side of it. So for that same position, I would say I increased sales by persuading customers on menu items. The same task, I just kind of reframed it a little bit. And instead of educating new employees, I trained new employees, right? So just the framing of it, and then what skills you highlight within those experiences. So I'd be more than happy to schedule a time one-on-one to look over your resume and just make sure that it's aligned to the field that you desire to go into. The next thing is identifying internship search strategies that work for you. So something that I wanna, point out is that your search strategy may look different from the person next to you or, your friend, because if you have a different major, it will definitely have a different strategy. And what I mean by that is if there's a student who is interested in film production, and then there's another student who's interested in accounting, the ways that you're going to find an internship is going to be a lot different. So for example, some databases have a lot of opportunities for business majors or for accounting majors, but may not have a lot of opportunities for film. So looking at basically knowing like where to look, and I'll show you a whole list of different strategies and databases that could help you identify internships within your field. And then again, if, after this webinar, you're still kind of like, okay, well, I want to go into this and I have not found any internships with any of these sites, just let me know, and then we can sit down one-on-one and I can help you. All right, let me do another poll really quick. So this one's kind of a fun one, is how many of you binged watched a TV show recently? Awesome. So we have another tie. Look at that. So between sometimes and who doesn't. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, I I mean, definitely recently I've been guilty of binge watching shows a little bit too much, but it's been, it's been okay. But so just to kind of keep you within that is not treating internship, like applying for internships, the same as like how you binge watch shows. And the reason for this is because sometimes I'll meet with students and then they'll tell me like, oh yeah, I applied for a bunch of I applied for like 20 internships. But it's like a Saturday night and they apply for like all these different internships and then they call it, they call it a day. And then after that, it's like never again, you never look at the internships ever again. And you're just like, oh, well, I guess that was it. So definitely try to think about your workload. I mean, obviously you're all taking classes and you have your coursework and probably in addition to other roles, right? So just thinking about the workload that you have and identifying how many positions per week that you want to apply to. So not binge applying, but I would say anywhere from 3 to 7 a week is a good number, and just being consistent and actively searching. And the reason for that, it's going to help you monitor like where you need like the most attention within your search. So for example, I have a 5-to-1 ratio. So for every 5th application kind of sent out there, you should be getting at least 1 interview. And if that's not happening, it may probably most likely have something to do with your resume or your internship application. And then the same thing with interviews. So if you're having a lot of interviews, but you're not getting a lot of, you're not getting offers, we can definitely sit down and do like a mock interview and looking at different interviewing strategies. But if you apply consistently and determine how many, give yourself a goal of how many you want to apply to per week, it can help you monitor your progress. All right, so now transitioning on where you can find internships. And again, I tweaked it, given our current situation. So I'm gonna be focusing mostly on virtual internships. So here are some internship search engines. So these are specifically for remote or virtual internships. So justremote.co is perfect for development, design, sales, and as I mentioned before, some may work, some databases may work most with other majors than with particular fields and such. So Remotive, that's another one. And again, as Hilda mentioned, so if you do sign in, we'll send this presentation. That way you don't have to like write them all down. And we'll send this presentation to you so you can have the links and the resources. All right, and then here's other ones. So USA Jobs, they are still hiring, and they're also have opportunities, internship opportunities that are virtual as of now. So you can look at this database as well, and it's also really good for recent graduate hires. And then CalJobs, you can look at the internship search engine. So this one, you need to type in quotation marks remote, and then all the remote internships will pop up for this one. Volunteer Match, they also have, this one's unpaid internship opportunities, but they also have virtual internship and volunteer opportunities. Parker Dewey, so this one's pretty interesting and I want to spend some time on this one. So Parker Dewey is offering micro internships. So what micro internships is basically where a company wants either one or a group of students to work on a project for a set amount of time. So it can be, let's say, 6 weeks. So let's say like Deloitte needs a project that needs to be done and within like the 6-week span. So they'll post on Parker Dewey, and many of the positions, if not all, of the micro internships are paid. So you can do multiple micro internships and they're all project based. So once you complete that project, you can, kind of go on to the next one, but it's also a really great way to gain experience in your field as well. And then Handshake. So Handshake is another internship search database. And the reason why we highlight Handshake so much is that unlike all the other databases, Handshake recruiters are specifically selecting that they want to recruit from CSUSB. So you can also find, and recently employers have been posting more and more virtual internships. So definitely take a look at Handshake in the database and seeing if there's any that pertain to you. LinkedIn. So I highly recommend you all creating a LinkedIn account if you have not already done so, because it's a really great networking tool. So it's a social media platform for professionals, and it also serves as a networking and a job search engine as well. So check internships. This one is also really great as well. And then here are some other ones. This one's pretty new, the Cove Intern. It's been in response of COVID-19, where employers are posting their remote internships, and many of them are with startup companies. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen and seeing if there's any questions in the chat.
I have not seen any questions in the chat, but if anyone does have any questions, if you would like to unmute yourselves and ask, please go ahead and do so. Okay, so for those of us that have to collect hours for a course, how will a virtual internship work?
So it depends on your department, and you would need to talk to your internship course instructor. So for example, some departments are making exceptions for students that are doing a virtual internship, or that they have to do like more of like an on-campus internship. So it just varies from department to department. So you would need to check with the department's internship coordinator.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? I don't see any, Lupus. If you want to go ahead and continue, I think we're okay right now.
Okay, sounds good. So the next thing I want to show you is just additional strategies aside from applying through internship databases. So if you go to our main website, so the Career Center at CSUSB, and go to Students Alumni, and then here we go to Explore Majors and Careers. And then all the way at the bottom, what can I do with this major? So this website is really neat. You can, pretty self-explanatory. It gives you what you can do with your major, but it can also serve as a way to come up with like different keywords and knowing where to look for internships. So for example, let's say I'm in criminal justice. So I'll click on criminal justice, and it gives you the different functional areas. So if you think of your internship as a funnel, your major is kind of very, very broad, and then as you narrow down the specific functional area that you're interested in, it begins to kind of funnel in more of a niche area. So you can go into social services, judiciary and law enforcement, business. So let's say I want to go into social services as a CJ major. So here you'll see even more specific occupations or kind of areas that you can be in within social services. So these can serve as keywords that you can search for when you're looking for internships. Because I will tell you that not all employers will be very direct in terms of how they label or how they title their internship. So for example, they may or may not title a criminal justice intern. So that's why it's important to have different keywords when you're looking for internships. So these can serve kind of as a brainstorm of what other keywords that you can utilize. So you can say like mentoring, intern, or casework, etc. It also gives you the employers that house these functional areas. And this could also serve as a lead in terms of where to look for internships, and you can apply directly to their websites. So for example, think of like, any local alternative schools that you would be interested in working with, and going to their website, seeing if they have internship opportunities is another really great strategy to utilize. All right. Another one is the list of employers in the state of California based by major and concentration. So again, let's say I'm a music major, and I can see all the employers that hire music majors in the state of California. We just defaulted it to the state of California, but you can change it to any other state. It's nationwide. And here you can see different companies. You can filter by size, by the industry. But this is also a really great strategy to research for internships, because it'll give you organizations that you may not have otherwise thought about. So for example, it could be like, oh, I didn't know like San Bernardino Symphony, like that's maybe that would be like a good one. And you can go to their website and see again if they have or hosted internships. So that's another strategy that you could utilize.
I have one question in the chat. Since we will be doing virtual internships, will this make us less marketable and competent to future employers?
Yeah, that's a good question. So no, it's not gonna I guess I'll answer it in two ways. So ideally, having an in-person internship gives you the ability to experience that work environment, being in that setting. And of course, being virtual does take that away. However, employers recognize, they're in this situation as well, like we're all in. So as long as you still develop those skills, those soft skills of communicating, being able to have critical thinking skills, applying what you learned in the classroom and showing how you applied it to a real world setting, whether or not, it was in person or virtual, that's going to show a lot. So that will make you marketable in terms of what they're looking for after you graduate. So, virtual experiences is still a valuable experience. And it's going to help you also when you're interviewing, when they're asking you about, your previous experience within your field, and you're able to pull that experience from your internship, whether or not it was in person. All right, so I'm going to go back to the presentation here. All right. Another thing that I recommend is you checking out your own department and information that they may have on their website regarding internships. So for example, the Communication Studies department has their own resources on internships on their homepage. And then if you click on that, you can also see the internships that they have available. So some departments actually even have their own databases and list of internships. So if you click on the department, here, I'll show you. Let me just share this. So if you go to the Communication Studies website and view current posted internships, it pulls up an Excel sheet of, it's a pretty large Excel sheet of local organizations that have hosted CSUSB interns, and it gives you the description, the number of hours, the website company, whether or not it's remote, where you can telecommute. So that's also a really great database that you can utilize. So again, definitely check out your own department's website to see what information that they have regarding internships. And just at the top of my head, I know For example, Jack H. Brown has their own, it's the Jack H. Brown Resource Network, and they have their own database where employers specifically select that they want to recruit interns from the College of Business. Sociology has their own, psychology, and so just definitely check out your department, and also connect with the internship coordinator within each of your departments. So for example, kind of keeping that same concept of the communication studies, so I could contact Jessica Naran, who is the internship course instructor for COM. So in addition to myself and Hilda, Jessica Naran can serve as an additional resource if I'm looking for internships. So if you have any questions about who your internship coordinator within your department or within your college, let me know, and Hilda and I can direct you to who that person might be. And again, just, having that person be an additional resource could be helpful as well. All right, any questions, Hilda, in the chat?
I haven't seen any come through.
Okay.
I think we're okay to continue.
Okay, sounds good. So I'm going to be launching a poll now of here. Let's see, of what 2 search engines or strategies will you use to identify an internship? All right. Awesome. So the first one that came up with 81% of you mentioned Handshake, and then the department internship listings. Nice. And then, yeah, definitely identify, a couple, explore just, and again, we'll send you this presentation so you can see the different links and the different databases of what might work best for you. And again, some might work better for some majors than others. So just, if you have any questions about where to look for within your field, let us know if you're having any challenges. Another thing that I want to emphasize is focusing your search. So this could be helpful, especially because it can get overwhelming in terms of when or what to look for. So I highly recommend reflecting on what type of internship or what kind of internship you would like. So think about what quarters, and now that we're moving into semesters, so what semester would you like to intern? So if you're interested in interning this summer right now, that would be a really great time to apply. If you are wanting to intern during the academic year, so just think about when you want to intern, and I recommend applying at least a quarter or now a semester before your ideal time that you want to have your internship take place. The second one, unfortunately, doesn't necessarily apply anymore because, we'll all probably have internships in our homes. And think about if you're open to having a paid or unpaid or an internship for credit, or if that's, if that's even something that you want to consider or not. So just keep that in mind. And then that way you can focus your search a little bit more. And then if you recall of the website from what can I do with this major, start thinking about what functional area that you want to be in. So for example, students will be like, oh, I want to be in biology. And it's like, okay, well, what within biology do you want to focus on, right? So start thinking about that way your internship can align the best with whatever area it is that you want to be in. And sometimes you don't know, and that's okay, because internships can also be a way to explore different areas. How the Career Center can help your internship search. So here's additional information. We can, again, help you revise your resume and have a resume review. Just recognizing really quick that federal resumes are different from chronological resumes. So if you're applying for a federal agency, your resume is going to be formatted and look a lot different than if you're applying for, let's say, like a for-profit company. We also help with networking and meeting employers. Hilda, do you want to share a little bit about the virtual career fair that's going to be happening next week?
Yes, so we are going to be having a virtual career expo is what it's called. We do have a flyer out there, so I hope that you guys have a chance to see that. But you can meet one-on-one with employers. You know, you have your resumes available. They will, you know, be doing checking your resumes for you. It'll be a chance for you to network with different employers. They have internship opportunities. Part-time, full-time. So definitely if you guys are interested, I will also include that, actually now that I'm thinking about it, I'll include it in the email that I'm going to send you with all of the information so that you guys have that available with times and Zoom IDs and all of that.
Perfect, thank you, Hilda. And then the last thing, mock interviews. So we can help you with interviewing strategies, and then we also have a software system called Big Interview that you can do kind of a virtual interview, and it records you, and then you can watch yourself within that interview. So it's pretty neat because it'll prompt you different questions, and then you respond, and it'll record your responses, and then you can watch. You can either send it to us, you can send it to a friend for feedback. So that's also an option. It's pretty neat. And you can find the Big Interview on our website as well. Other ways to stay connected to the Career Center. So we have Instagram live sessions Tuesdays and Thursdays at 12. We usually invite a special guest on Thursdays, so definitely follow us on Instagram at CSUSB_CC. If you go to our website, you'll also see a career bot, so you can chat with a Coyote bot. Any questions, any immediate questions, you can kind of see there in the chat bot. And then we are still taking counseling appointments via Zoom, so feel free to schedule an appointment on Handshake with the career counselor for an array of topics, right? We also are promoting the Career Club. So it's a student organization. You can kind of think of it as an informal student-led career center. So it's a group of students dedicated to helping you answer any questions regarding your professional development, but there's also like a social component of it. So they also do Instagram live sessions on Fridays at 5, and then here is their Instagram handle there. All right, so the next webinar will be, what are we now? Career management. So on May 26th, if you're interested in that, and then it'll be the same Zoom ID. All right, so the next question is, based on the information you received today, what would be the first step you'll take right after ending the session? Some responses are making an appointment via Handshake, revising my resume, applying for internships, contact the internship coordinator from my department, and I have no idea. Awesome, so we have 67% of you saying that your first next step will be revising your resume. And all of these are really great next steps. For the one who said, I have no idea, feel free to email us and we can sit down one-on-one to determine what would be the best next step for you. Right, so you all got it right away. So the next step, definitely having your resume review. You can either make an appointment via Handshake, or you can email me a time that works best for you. I'd be more than happy to review your resume as well. Identifying which internship search database or strategy works best. So again, this might take a little bit of time in exploring different databases and seeing what internships are out there, and again, using those different keywords and finding out like what keywords best work for you. And then the next thing is also determining how many positions you're going to be applying for per week. So remember not to binge apply, and set yourself a goal. That way you can remain active and consistent in your internship search process. And then the next thing, you can visit our Career Center website. We have a lot of this information online as well. And something else that I want to share is I encourage you to tell people that you're looking for an internship. The more people that know, the more people that are willing to help. And if they see an opportunity, whether it's on you know, they hear it from someone and they're like, oh, you know, I know somebody who would, you know, love that opportunity. So the more people that know, the more people that can be out there looking out for you as well. So internship counselors, staff, professors, just letting people know and utilizing the department and university resources. Also, I recommend attending the virtual career fair that's happening next week to connect with employers and seeing what internship opportunities they may have available. And then lastly, you can apply through, again, the databases that I shared with you all, directly through company websites if there's a specific company that you're interested in, department listings, and then what's the next one? You can email us. So here's our contact information, and then this is Hilda's contact information. You can also, so again, you can schedule an appointment via Handshake. If you log in through My Coyote and then on Handshake, up at the top, you can do Career Center and then click on appointments. You can also email me directly with your availability, and I'll be more than happy to meet with you all.